Part 137. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1375. Ji Xiaoshan's eyes were unwilling and doubtful. It is grievance and grief. His eyes were wide open. There was tears in his eyes. Yan Song quickly avoided his eyes. At this moment, though uncomfortable, she was relaxed. She finally did it. She actually did it. Qing Xian's curse is based on Ji Xiu's love for her. Without his love, this curse would not succeed. She did not expect that one day she would be able to put a cleansing spell on the body of the devouring beast. It's almost like a slave turned over. She wanted to laugh a few times, and her chest hurt so much that she couldn't laugh. Shi Yan, who jumped into the window, stared in disbelief at the song that wiped the man on the bed from his neck. He expected many pictures in this room, but never thought it would be this kind of sight. The next moment seemed to react, rushing over quickly, holding the trembling song in his arms. "I take you away." He didn't ask why Yanj did it. But he knew that when Ji Xiaoshan died, Ji's family would never give up. He had to take her out of this place immediately. But as soon as she was pulling her away, she bowed her head and saw the big blood on her chest. "Shi Yan, I can't walk." She held down his hand that he wanted to press on the wound on her chest. "Hurry up, okay, don't stay here." She tried to smile, but her smile was extremely pale. She said with lips pursed, and gauze was placed in the table basket. He took the gauze and tried to bandage her wounds. "Don't talk." His voice was shaking, as if begging, "Don't talk, you dare to try it?" Yanj heard the words and laughed. "Shi Yan, I'm not Zhang Xiaofeng, I'm a demon. I feed on the heart of the person who loves me, and he loves me enough so he will become my goal. I won't die, this body is ruined, there will be other bodies for me to drive." She raised her hand and grabbed the back of his hand. "You're fine in bed, I'm satisfied, but I feed on my heart. You don't love me enough to be my food, how sorry." Her last words were obscure. Her hands dropped slowly, and her body fell completely into his arms. She regarded him as a plate of food that could not even be served on the table. She never considered him a man, a lover. How is this possible? He hugged her, and for a long time shouted, "Shit." He reached out, squeezed her chin, and raised her head, but her eyes closed. No matter how he shook, she didn't open her eyes. His anger turned into grief again. "You open your eyes, you open your eyes to make it clear, what do you mean?" She didn't open her eyes. He carried her off the windowsill and carried her through the cannon fodder of Shanghai. She didn't open her eyes again. Died. He eventually buried her in the rubble. She said she was not Zhang Xiaofeng. She said he didn't even qualify for her snack. She said she feeds on her lover's heart. She said she would start over with a different skin. He didn't believe it at all. This kind of words is almost like heaven and earth. He wouldn't believe it. But I still believe it. He fought the quartet, as she said. Be a hero like she said. A hero who will not die on the battlefield. He thought that if she did change her skin, he would definitely recognize her. At that time, he was going to question her around her neck. But ask her what he didn't think about. She also did not give him the opportunity to question. Until he died, he could not see her again. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1376. Yanj stands in front of the ontology tree in the chaotic space. Slightly raised her head, staring at her, which was already taller than her, and had grown several branches. The body is now as thick as her ankles. It's incredible. Seeing the weakness of the body is like bean sprouts that fall when the wind blows. At this moment I saw this little tree that had grown up. Yan Ji was not half happy. She had thought that if she could see the body grow up, she would be particularly happy. As happy as being smashed into the pie by the sky. But now, not half happy. Just feel sad. Because the guy who always jumped and slept on her tree had no news. She didn't waste much time in the chaotic space. After a glance, he returned to the system space. In the system space, there are feathers made of feathers and crickets made by her general soul source. Operating normally. Previously, her soul source was on the verge of collapse, so she could not return. But she did not expect that the soul source of swallowing the beast would be so powerful. She just gave him a little sip, and it was so effective. In the future, if she eats him many times in the future, she may not only be able to recover the leafy leaves, but also get rid of the system. As for the so-called sequelae, Yanj has no kung fu and ability to think for a while. My life is almost lost, and I am afraid of the sequelae. When she entered the plane again, a soft female voice sounded, the large rollover system was online. Because the person in control of the system is her clone, this voice is her own voice. It sounded gentle, and calm. But after listening to the song, I didn't feel kind, just wanted to scold my mother. Hemp eggs, why does the system change cores again? Large rollover system. It sounds like a bad system. Words are speechless. Wait for her to enter the plane. Only to find it more speechless. At the moment, she was in the bathroom. Not only that, but looking at the original body, she was obviously reacting after taking the medicine. After receiving the first moment of this body, Yanj felt that he was about to rise to heaven soon. When she finally settled, she sighed, looking at the pinhole on the original body's arm. In this bathroom, it is relatively easy to receive plain information. The song was about to be closed, and the knock on the door rang. Fifi, Fifi. What's so special is still the voice of a man. Yan Ji heard that the toilet doors outside were opened and thrown up by the man. Someone was in the toilet, and the man kept tapping the door and asked if he was Fifi. Although Yanj doesn't integrate the information of this plane, she thinks that she should be the so-called Fifi in the mouth of a man. She hastily squatted her feet on the toilet. The man immediately smashed the door where she was. Fifi, Fifi, is it you, or you inside? Yan Ji evenly answered with a mute voice, don't smash it, I'm not Fifi. The man heard that, and sure enough he went to the next toilet. Waiting for the man to leave the women's bathroom. 2 or 3 girls in the bathroom scolded and grumbled outside, what kind of person is neurotic, so insignificant and disgusting? I did not expect that there are still people who break into the women's bathroom, and they should be reported to the police. Yanj felt that the man could not find the so-called Fifi, and maybe he would break in again. So she got up soon, and planned to go out quickly and change places to receive plain information. As soon as he left the bathroom, he was hugged by the man waiting at the door. Fifi, you must scare me to death. What a peculiar thing you are to scare the old woman. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1377. But what Ling Yanj didn't expect was that as soon as she came out of the bathroom, she was hugged by the man standing at the corner. Fifi, are you okay? I just went to the bathroom to find you, you shouldn't say anything, I all laughed at by others. The voice of a man is not yet mature. Yan Song glanced up. This man, to be precise, should be a boy. Still a teenager. But he grew tall, with a few sloppiness in his eyebrows. It is the kind of boy most popular with girls of this age. Yan Ji guessed that this boy should not know about the skating of the original owner. Yan shook his head and said softly, I'm fine. She looked up slightly and squinted at the boy again, I'm a bit upset and want to go back. The boy heard the words, bowed his head slightly, and looked at the song with a look of dissatisfaction. I just went back not long after I came and said that we had tonight. Yanj took his hand and covered his belly. My stomach hurts. You can't touch it? My stomach is cold. Although she frowned slightly because of the discomfort, she whispered softly. The boy's throat rolled and he just complained dissatisfied, women are really troublesome. However, I did not ask Yanj to continue to enter the box to play with everyone. Yanji was pulled out by the boys, only to find out that it was a KTV. The boy kept sending her out of the door of KTV, and Yanj saw that his cell phone was ringing all the time, so he said, I'll take a taxi and go back. Don't send me. The boy hesitated. It happened that a taxi came over and stopped in front of the door. Someone got out of the car and Yanj immediately stepped forward to take up the taxi. Then he turned back and beckoned to the man, have fun. The boys had to wave to Yanj, go back and text me. Yanj smiled at him and waved goodbye. The taxi driver asked her where to go. Yanj has no information in this plane, and simply said, go ahead. She wanted to find a hotel to open an hourly room, and first quietly received the information in the plane. The cell phone in the bag rang. Yanji took out his mobile phone and glanced. The caller's note is a neighbor on the first floor. It was a phone call from a neighbor, and it must be fine. Yanj threw the phone back into the bag. The ringing of the phone kept ringing. When the taxi driver looked curiously, Yanj simply mutated the phone. She saw an express hotel on the side of the road, and quickly stopped the driver. After paying the money and getting out of the hotel, Yanji found out when she opened the room that she had no ID in her bag. Fortunately, she is an hour in the room, and this hotel is relatively small. After repeated petitions, she finally opened a room. But as soon as she entered the room, she hadn't had time to lie in bed, and the phone in the guest room at the bed rang. Yanji thought it was from the front desk. As soon as he picked it up, there was a low voice on the other side of the phone, get out in 3 minutes. Where's the neurosis? Yanj hung up the phone. After thinking about it, I unplugged the phone line again, and then I lay in bed and started receiving plane information. The reason she had swallowed the devouring beast from the previous plane. Soul Source has become a lot stronger. Although receiving the information from the plane will still be a headache, it is not so painful. The original owner's body is called Zhao Fi Fei. At the beginning, it was a rich second generation. Unfortunately, the family did not say anything quickly. The father of the original owner was just bright and took the son of the third son outside home. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1378. The third son is the same age as the original owner. Because he was a boy, he was particularly fancied by his father. The host's mother was crying and desperate. Although she had been rescued several times after taking the drug to commit suicide, she suffered from depression. Of course, Father Zhao didn't want to bring such a drag on his wife. He wanted to divorce Zhao's mother and kick out Zhao's mother who can't even take care of her life. The original owner quarreled with Father Zhao, and he was slapped twice by Father Zhao. Later, Zhao's father simply told the original owner that it would be okay if he wanted to stay with his mother. One of his business colleagues wanted a virgin. The original purpose was to help him get a few orders for this pier so that the Zhao family could spend this time. Economic crisis. He left Zhao's mother and paid the original owner's living expenses on time. At that time, the original owner had just entered university and she had no ability to make money. She had to take care of her mentally troubled mother. She could not let her mother be swept out by Zhao's father. So she agreed. The gold master that Zhao's father sought for the original master was Zuzu. The original owner thought it was just once when he was bitten by a dog. Unexpectedly, Zuyan got entangled with her and was willing to wrap her up. There is such a background in Zhu song that the original owner can have living expenses without asking Zhao Fu for money. The main thing is that she sent her mother to the hospital for treatment. For her, this matter is of great benefit. Between her and Zhu's hang, it has continued like this. At school, she was still the second generation of Miss Zhao in the eyes of everyone. The original owner began to want to break away from Zhao's father. After several times telling her that she could not do anything, her father Zhao was very angry, and he simply found a chance and injected drugs into the original owner. Use this to control the original owner. The days before the original owner's 18 years should be smooth sailing. But in her later days, she almost lived in darkness. She had a first love, and they went to college together from high school. She wanted to tell her first love countless times, but she couldn't bear this last sunshine. After that, the original owner is pregnant. She doesn't know if this is the child of the first love or the children of the swan. Father Zhao knew about this and asked her to give birth to this child, so she could be a bitch. For this reason, the original owner had to suspend school for 1 year and was held at home by Zhao's father. When her belly got bigger, Zhu Rong called for her to come. She was sent to Zhu Yu's home by her father, Zhao. Seeing the original owner with a big belly, Zhu Yan's gaze was sharp. That night, she was tossed by various crickets, crying for mercy. But Zhu Yan clearly wanted to get rid of her child. They didn't even go to the bedroom, they were in the living room. Someone broke in. It is Zhu 11's son and the first love of the original owner. This car turned over terribly. The original owner was sent to the hospital with a stomachache. After the operation, a deformed dead baby was removed. The host is skating. In order to control her, Zhao's father has strong medicine. Her body is less likely to conceive a normal child. Not only that, because of this surgery, her uterus could not be kept and she was removed at the same time. The deformed child, Zhao's father knew, so this time when the lords called out to the master to Baba send the person. Zhu 11 married the original owner. But he never touched the original owner again. After all, the original owner's body was skating and miscarriage, and he also removed the uterus. She should have been a gorgeous flower at this age, but she had a dried flower. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1379. The original owner's first love did not expect that the woman he loved turned into his father's woman as soon as he turned around, and he was also pregnant with his father's child and became his stepmother. He naturally found the original stubble everywhere, so although the original owner became the wives, his life was not good at all. She was skating, and she had to go to Father Zhao to get things, so she had to listen to Father Zhao even if she wanted to. Zhao's health improved. She picked up Zhao's mother and bought a house nearby to house Zhao's mother. The relationship between mother and daughter has always been very good. The original owner will live with Mother Zhao whenever he has time. But once she was seen secretly by her mother while skating secretly. After repeatedly asking by Mother Zhao, I learned that it was all Zhao did. Mother Zhao committed suicide again that night. It can be said that Mother Zhao is the spiritual pillar of the original owner and the motive for her survival. After Zhao's death, she dealt with Zhao's mother's funeral, and the original owner skated too much to commit suicide. The task of the large-scale rollover system is to make the car more violent. What a special, godlike task. Yang considers himself to be exhausting the system now, and has taken on many amazing tasks. However, the task of this rollover system still refreshed her lower limit. This time plus the wish of the original owner. The original owner hopes to get revenge. In this plane, the experience of the original owner is really regrettable. Even if the original owner has no wish, Yang will take revenge for her if she accepts this body. Reached out and rubbed his temples. After Yang waited for the dizziness and pain of receiving the information from the plane to ease, She got up and went to the bathroom and poured a handful of water on her face. Just 1 hour, not much time. Yanj took the bag and walked out, refunded the deposit at the front desk, and immediately saw the black Range Rover outside the door. This is the car that Zhu 11 usually drives. Why is this man here? Immediately, Yan Ji remembered the phone call when she was in a taxi, and before the KTV received her body today, the original owner had encountered various gangsters. Zhu Yan's cell phone number is stored in the neighbor's cell phone as a neighbor. This name is to passerby, and it is not surprising that Song did not answer the phone at the time. The phone call that came into the hotel room before should be the last line of this guy. It is strange that he didn't leave even after she hung up the phone one after another. Presumably, I wanted to catch a trespasser here and see who she owned the house with. The window did not slide down, and Yan Ji stepped in front of the car after a few stops at the door. The driver kept standing in front of the door, and when the words approached, opened the door respectfully. As soon as Yanj stooped in and hadn't sat down, Zhu Yan had pinched her chin and sneered, "Why, is this not enough to feed you, so come out for a snack." Zhu 11 supported the original owner. The condition for the original owner was to be on call. He was not allowed to sleep with other men when he was with him. He had a clean habit. Yanj heard the words and looked up at him. "Did I have a snack? Isn't Mr. Zhu the clearest?" When the two were in love on the bed, Zhu 11 would call his elder brother by calling him, but it was limited to the bed. Other times, the original owner called him Mr. Zhu. Zhu Yan snorted coldly, raising the chin of Yanj, staring at Yanj with dark eyes. This man is only 35 years old this year. He is properly maintained, and because of the eyebrows of the sword and eyebrows, he has the quiet momentum of a superior person. Of course, the most important thing is that this guy is rich and powerful. Citron. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1380. However, Zhu has never been married, and even his son was an accidental product of his childhood. In the heart of the original owner, he also thought that he would always reach such a big tree. After all, he always looked so gentle and intelligent. But the original owner even wanted to break away from Zhao's family and his friends and pursue his own life and his true love. It was a pity that the operation was improper and the car was overturned. Yanj's jaw was so painful that she was pinched by her lips. She pursed her lips without asking for notice, but her eyes burst into tears. The original owner's temperament was stubborn, and the words did not change people's settings too much. But her stubborn and weak look was tempting. Zhu Yan's eyes were dark, and he reached up to raise the sound insulation board, and directly sat down with Yan Ji. Words of song. This old guy. Really shameless. Yanj is reluctant to be in such a place, there is too much uncertainty. In case of a car accident, then she and Zhu Yan rolled down from the car smoothly, the picture, hey. Zhu Yan could lose this face, but she couldn't afford to lose it. So Yan Ji held Zhu Ye's hand to undress her clothes. "Mr. Zhu, my aunt is here." Zhu Yan's fingers crossed her red and bright lips. "Not below, then above, not above, I don't mind going down the dry road." Yan Song glared at him. His face was angry and forbearing, like a kitten ready to fry at any time, even his paws were almost out. But in the end, she slightly bowed her head, lowered her eyebrows, and squatted down to loosen his belt. Zhu Yan stretched out her hands and held her shoulders, pushing people directly into the corner. "I hate women so much," he said coldly. "If you don't want to, get out of the car now." He is the father of the Gold Master, and naturally he can do whatever he wants. There is no reason to spend money on grievances. After all, that kind of thing, that is, the overbearing president in the novel will react to the heroine. The identity of the original owner is a cannon fodder. Naturally, there is little right to be emotional. Yanj's back hit the door, and it hurt. She hummed a little, but did not yell anymore, but instead heard her words and looked up at Zhu Song. Mr. Zhu, I'm not unwilling, just in case of any accident, such as a kidnapping or hijacking. Yes, when you unfasten your pants, it will affect escape. Zhu Yan stared at Yanj. His eyes were sharp, and he was used to seeing men and women of all colors. With one glance, he felt that the girl in front of her was not ridiculing at all, but was extremely sincere from the heart. He waved again at her, "Come here." Although the tone is mild, the look and attitude is no different from those of cats and dogs. Maybe, in his eyes, Yanj couldn't even compare the cats and dogs of other families. Yanj can bend and stretch, and moved it. Yan Ji did not return to Zhao's house at night. Zhu Yan slept in the hotel with her. In order to hold this daughter in his hand, Father Zhao asked the host to go back every night, even if the host went to college, unless he was sleeping with Zuluo. Yanj took the initiative to call the original owner's so-called half-brother. "I'm not going home today, Mr. Zhu took me out to play, you tell him." After the phone call, she hung up before the other party answered. The sound of water in the bathroom was still ringing, and Yan Ji glanced at the bathroom, squinting on the sofa. The footsteps sounded, and after a while, the crickets wrapped in a bath towel approached Yan Ji, and he leaned down and stared at the woman. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1381. The next moment, Zuzu reached out and squeezed the cheeks of Yanj. "How do you take a nap here? Hurry up and take a shower, then wash and sleep." Yanj sleeps confusedly, tears in his eyes, rubbing his head and rubbing his head, drinking a little wine. "I don't feel much when I drink it, now I feel a little dizzy." Probably because of drinking, her voice was soft, and her watery eyes looked delicate and charming. The charming and enchanting woman sees so many people. He raps the original owner because the original owner is unyielding like a cat with only paws, which is fun. But now, the cat put up its paws and spread its belly, and became unknowingly soft, so don't have any scenery. He seemed to have discovered a novel dong dong, got up and poured a glass of wine and handed it to the song. "Thirst, drink some water." Even so, the cup is already on the lips of Yanj. Yanj had a sharp nose and smelled the wine in the glass. This old dog coin. Instead of taking the cup, she lowered her head and drank the glass of wine with a sip. The glass tipped a little, and the remaining half of the glass of wine ran down from her mouth, wet her white top, and the undulations of her chest became more vivid. Yan Ji bowed his head and coughed. He was out of breath, and complained aggrievedly, "It's so hard to drink, what kind of water is too hard to drink, and my throat is hot and uncomfortable." Zhu Yan tossed the water cup aside, stretched out his hand and buckled Yanj's waist. "I'll help you take a bath." "Well, no, no." Yanj's half a glass of white wine, his face instantly turned red into the big, red and seductive ripe peach on the branch. The corners of the eyes were filled with tears due to the cough, and the eyes were filled with water vapor. When speaking, the lips opened slightly, tempting seductively. Zhu Yan couldn't bear to take a shower, and the two of them stood up in the bathroom pool. The drunk night owl was extremely daring, sitting on him and holding his chin softly and humming softly, "Zhu, you old hooligan, old asshole, you are an old duck being held by women. Zhu Yuan. This cat is short of lessons." Zhu Yan lifted her aside, turned over and stood on top of him, and his low mute voice with a somber threat, "Who are you talking about?" The woman's watery eyes stared at him coquettishly. "I say you, it's you, you're an old man, ah." The night was quiet, but the woman's soft cursing kept on. Obviously he was scolding him. Zhu Yan's anger became a desire and fire, and he tried to tell the cat that he was old. He usually leaves early in the morning. But today is not. He woke up early and did not get up, but waited for the movement of the woman around him. The woman was not awake, he was impatient, he just reached out and pushed her, and then pretended to sleep. But the woman still didn't move. The mules simply stomped their feet again. Damn, genius is bright, isn't this man sleeping? Last night I tossed and woke up so early? Yan Song snorted dissatisfied, finally sober in this guy's expectations. She sat up, drunk for the first time, and had a headache. She stretched her hands and rubbed her head, looking around. Wait to see the sleeping slugs beside. She was no longer busy, but went to the bathroom to take a shower, and planned to leave. It turned out that her clothes had been torn by the mules. Had to go into the bedroom to push Zhu, Mr. Zhu, Mr. Zhu. Zuyan stared at the words with dissatisfaction. What's the matter? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1382. Yanj, my clothes are broken and I can't wear them, what should I do? Zuyan, isn't it Saturday today? He did not wait for the words to respond, and continued, don't wear it, I will send you clothes tomorrow. Yan Ji's eyes widened and he stared at the uncles with an unbelievable look. Zuyan still remembers her wave-shaped skeleton in bed last night. Seeing her eyes at this moment seemed simple and untouched. Zuyan's heart was about to move, but his voice was still, and he sneered, why? I have seen so many times, you will still be shy. Yanj pursed her lips, was angry and ashamed, and blushed. She glanced at each of them and wanted to refute, but because she was inferior, she had to hold back her fingers, holding her towel tightly. Seems tolerable. Seeing her reaction, Zuyan guessed that she had forgotten all the messy things she did after getting drunk last night. He simply reminded her, it was quite rough last night. Why, after getting out of bed today, I became a chastity martyr. Yan Song was crying by his shame, his eyelashes were trembling, his tears looked so pitiful, and he wanted to refute a few times, but finally he dropped his head slightly, spreading a few strands of long hair, revealing a white neck. Mr. Zhu, are you praising me? Zuyan laughed, stretched out his hand and grabbed her arm to bring people into his arms. You say, what you did last night, I'm so proud of you. Yan Ji's body suddenly froze, and his face was alert and scared. Gu Weiwei said, Mr. Zhu, aren't you going to work today? Saturday today. He pulled the towel on her body, his hands were very strong, and he continued to ask, what did you do last night? Yan Ji thought blankly, it hurts. But Zuyan ignored her protest. Yanj bit his lip, Mr. Zhu, do you look angry? Zuyan sneered, tell me why you are angry. Yan Ji blushed, did I offend Mr. Zhu last night? She explained weakly, I drank, and later things are not clear. If you offend Mr. Zhu, I hope Mr. Zhu does not care. Zuyan laughed, you can put it aside after drinking? Who knows if you pretend? His finger was pinched on Yanj's chest, his hand was so heavy, Yanj trembled painfully, but he shivered and did not dare to hide, tears filled his painful eyes, stubborn and wronged eyes, gaze was on Zhu 11's chest. Zuyan, what? Default is not to speak. Yanj's eyelashes trembled, and a drop of tears fell on the chests of Swan. Mr. Zhu, she whispered, are you tired of me? She shoved away the slugs and got out of bed, I'll go now. The side lock of her pale pink skirt was broken, and the seams were torn apart. The top was not bad, but was thrown on the carpet because of the wet wine, and it was very dirty. She didn't care about the dirt, she cried while wearing it. Zuyan stood up at the door of the bedroom, staring blankly at Yanj, you walk out of here, starting today, I will not pay for your mother's hospital treatment. Yan Ji's body froze, looked up, and stared at him with tears in his face. Zuzu laughed, people are always hesitating at the crossroads. The spirit and spirit are still material reality. Most people are very greedy. They want fish and bear's paw, but unfortunately, do not look at their own weight. Not eligible for all. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1383. Yan Ji dropped his clothes and walked slowly to him. Mr. Zhu, I was wrong, sorry. He raised his hand and touched her head. You are still young. It's normal to make mistakes, but don't make another mistake like this. The voice is gentle, like the elders teach the younger ones. Yan Ji scolded countless old dog coins in his heart, but on the face was blank and helpless, and said softly, Mr. Zhu, thank you. Yan's mobile phone was out of power. She asked the service staff to send a charger. When the phone was powered on, there were several missed calls and text messages. There are Zhao's father, and the original owner's first love Sinan. Sinan was the only son of Zhu, but because Zhu dealt with Sinan's mother, this pair of fathers and sons were intolerable. Sinan didn't even change back to the surnames. The boy was Sinan last night. Because of his family, Sinan was very rebellious from a young age. He grew up because of fighting in school and didn't know how many were found home. The more Zhu 11 became angry, Sinanyu worsened. The original owner has studied well, and can be regarded as a school flower learner. Sinan is the kind of real school bully. In high school 3 years, the two were classmates, but they were not in love. Until entering the university, the original owner was tangled by the off-campus once, and it was Sinan who accidentally rescued her, so the two began to interact. Yanj entered the plane a little earlier. Although Sinan and the original owner have established a relationship, they are underground, and neither has rolled over the sheets. Sinan asked why Sangha didn't answer the phone and asked if she went home. She also asked her what was going on and how her phone turned off. This guy is used to being a bully. Although he cares about the host, his tone is not good at all, and he is obviously impatient every time he asks questions. Yan Ji finished listening to his voice. Then he unplugged the phone's charging port and stood on the balcony and called Sinan's phone. As soon as the call was made, Sinan in the room asked, "What's the matter? When you said you went home and said to me, why did you turn off your mobile phone?" Yanj ignored his lingering tone, and said softly, "I drank some wine yesterday, and my head was very uncomfortable. I fell asleep as soon as I got home." "Yes, I'm sorry, Sinan, I forgot to call you, which made you worry." "I didn't worry about it." Sinan's voice was dull. "Drinking some wine will make you feel uncomfortable. Don't touch it if you can't drink it." "What can I do? I want to make a good impression in front of your friends," Yan Ji said with a small grievance. "I'm afraid they say your girlfriend is pretending not to touch wine." "Who dares to say so?" Sinan Kian really is much smaller. "You have a headache and go to bed first, and we will talk when we wake up." "Okay." As soon as Yanj hung up the phone, the mules behind her put on her waist. Yanj's clothes were broken and she didn't want to be naked, so she wore a bathrobe in the cabinet. After Zhu 11's big hand clasped her waist, she went straight to untie the bathrobe belt on her waist. "This asshole." Yanj kept busy holding his hand. "Who's calling?" Zhu Yan did not go any further. He rested his head on Yanj's neck, and intentionally sprayed his breath into Yanj's ears when he was talking. "This old man, long-time love, is also a master." Yan Ji's face turned red, and she slightly tilted her head, as if to distance him, and said with a sweet smile in her voice, "It's my boyfriend." Zhu Yan's face sank. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1384. The kitten has a boyfriend, Zhu knows. He also said at the beginning that he didn't mind her falling in love, but she couldn't sleep with other men while she was sleeping with him. He felt that he now minded the woman in love. He was a little irritable, his face calm, only holding the hand on her waist and sliding up. Oh! What did he say? Yan Song frowned at him for a moment. Maybe I don't understand why he asked her boyfriend. However, he still said truthfully, he asked me why I didn't call him back last night to report peace. Oh, how did you get back? Yan Ji lowered his head and whispered, I said I was drunk and I forgot everything when I slept. The voice was clearly unhappy and guilty. Zuzu laughed, you were lying on my bed last night, you would lie. He did not wait for the words to respond, and continued, if your little boyfriend knows that you are so waves in another man's bed, I don't know if I will ask you. On the face of Yanj, the blood was faded and pale. Zuyan admired her expression sideways. Raised her hand to pinch her chin and turned her head, and pecked her lips, take 2 boats, is it exciting? Yan Ji wanted to push him back, but he held Yan Ji backhand, if you dare to sleep with your little boyfriend, I will not only interrupt his third leg, but also make him hate you forever. Yanj bit his lip, didn't speak, just stared at him. Zuyan reached out and touched her face. You are a smart girl. Think for yourself. Yanj bowed his head like a obedient cat letting him down. Zhao's father called in at this time. Yan Ji looked at the caller ID on his mobile phone and did not answer the call in time. Zuyan asked her, why not? Yanj pursed his lips and reluctantly picked up the phone. On the phone, Father Zhao asked, where are you? On weekdays, the original owner went out to accompany the concubines one night, and it would not take long, and Yan Ji never reported his whereabouts to Zhao's father, so Zhao's father was so angry. Yan Ji glanced at each other and did not answer. It was her silent effort, and Father Zhao's tone immediately changed. Where are you? This is the hard wings and want to fly. Zhao Fifei, I warn you better not to make me angry, give me within half an hour get back. Yanj finally said, I'm with Mr. Zhu. Father Zhao on the other side of the phone stunned immediately, are you? Are you with him? Don't lie to me, you take a picture of me. Not only was the sound mild, but it was lowered several levels. Words, okay. She said nothing and hung up. But without looking up, I just stared at the phone. The voice on the other end of the phone was faintly audible. But I can't hear clearly. He asked the words, how? Yan Ji looked up and looked at him, Mr. Zhu, I will follow you wholeheartedly in the future. Would you do me a favor? Zuyan stared at her, what's busy? He has no tenderness in his voice. He hates women's self-righteousness, feels that she is important, and uses her as a bargaining chip. Mr. Zuyan Ji suddenly knelt down in front of him, as long as you are willing to help me, I will repay you as a cow and a horse in the future. Zuyan, oh? What are you doing? I want to be strong, I want a company, I want to. Stupid girl, he raised his hand and squeezed her nose. Life is not what you want. You are in my heart, far from where I can satisfy your requirements at will. Yan Song looked up and held it. Tears burst into tears, but she wiped them off with her hands. She tried to laugh, and smiled, but covered her face and cried, I'm sorry Mr. Zhu, I think I'm right.